Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. This is the English translation of the Majlis of Hazrat Maulana Qamar Uzzaman Saheb Damat Barakatuhum, which took place on Thursday, the 7th of Jumadul Akhirah, 1445, corresponding with the English date, 21st of December 2023. Hazrat Wala has in front of him the kitab At-Tanweer fi Isqatit Tadbir. Hazrat Wala is saying that this kitab is a kitab of one of the very former Sufis, Sheikh Ibn Ataullah Iskandari rahimahullah. Hazrat Wala is saying that Hazrat Haji Imdadullah rahimahullah ta'ala said, Ashraf Ali, translate this kitab. It will be of great benefit to the masses. So you have the footnotes of Hazrat Haji Imdadullah in this kitab. You know, I found the Urdu, Maulana Mohammad gave this to me, and I started reading it and giving majlis from this. And I was in the Haramain, I was in Makkah Mukarramah, and then I sent one of my colleagues, and he came at 2 a.m. in the morning saying that he found the original Arabic kitab of this year. I then said that let us also try and see the translation or do this or that. But when I had a look at the translation of Hazrat Tanwi, where is our translation in front of his translation? Nevertheless, some type of talkhis and a condensation of this particular kitab had taken place. But these kitabs are very all-comprehensive. One is the Qasdus Sabil, and this other one is this of the Taqdeer Kitab. And Hazrat Wala is saying that in my opinion, I think that Hazrat Tanwi had based all his usul looking at the ta'limat and the teachings of this particular kitab. Hazrat Maulana Shah Wasiullah Sahab okay, let's see the kitab. Hazrat Wala then starts reading and quoting from the kitab itself. So here in the kitab it is mentioned regarding tiring oneself in the search of rizq and rozi. Now a person can tire himself jismani taur par, zahiri taur par, outwardly and externally, and one should then most definitely seek refuge in Allah against this. For when a person is overpowered and gets exhausted and completely tires himself out in the search of rizq and rozi to such an extent that then becomes a hindrance for him in executing the commands of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Therefore, rizq with ease is a great help in a person freeing himself in the obedience of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, rather standing in the service of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Now Hazrat Wala, looking at that text there, then remarks and says that generally this is also said that dini kamo mein bhi roko, kuch roko, that even regarding religious works, stop yourself to a certain extent. In what sense and in what meaning, and what are we actually trying to say? Ke uska darmiyan mein zikr kar liya karo, that in between here and there also engage yourself in the abundant dhikr of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. You know, we were studying Sharh Jami. What can I tell you? Rather, maybe you can say commonly we know today as the year of Hidayah. Now at that time there, who was it? Jami Sahab was also there. He was also a student of Hazrat Maulana Shah Wasiullah Sahab. And what can I say? He was my ustad and my colleague as well. Now Hazrat Maulana Shah Wasiullah Sahab told us to get ready and to prepare for the examinations. Nevertheless, we started I mean, Hazrat Shah Wasiullah Sahab is telling us to get ready for the exams. Nevertheless, he's then started watching us closely. And he comes and he sees कि सब लगे हुए हैं. And then he goes, and then he comes again and he says, he looks, सब लगे हुए. That everybody is so engrossed in their kitabs. And then what happens? Bulaya. He summoned us. And then he said, for such a long time, I have been seeing you people that in all of this time you were so negligent regarding the dhikr of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And then he goes on to say that तुम्हारा ये मामूल होना चाहिए था, that this should have rather been your practice, that in between here and there you should have performed 2 rakats of salat. In between here and there of your studies and your kitabs, you should have carried out the dhikr of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Now just look at this here. उन्हीं के हुक्म से तकरार कर रहे थे. It was his hukam that we were carrying out the takrar. However, some amount of displeasure came to him when he realized that what's this? That no type of salat, ruju ilallah, dhikr of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and then immediately we were taken to task. Girift ho gayi. That for such a long time I've been seeing you people, but nobody is engaged in the remembrance of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. وَاذْكُرُوا اللَّهَ كَثِيرًا لَعَلَّكُمْ تُفْلِحُونَ. Remember Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala abundantly so that you may become successful. You know, Hazrat Maulana Shah Wasiullah Sahab, regarding dhikrullah and the remembrance of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, he was very meticulous, very particular about it. Now, Hazrat Maulana Shah Wasiullah Sahab made so much of mehnat on us. Allah Ta'ala accept that. And also, may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala let the effects of that become apparent. I can't tell you people, zikr se kitna ta'alluq. What a bond and a relationship he had with the remembrance of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Right from the very start, Hazrat Maulana Shah Wasiullah Sahab started me off with the Bara Tasbih. And not only that, he would keep on checking and he would take us to task. So zikrullah, the remembrance of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Hazrat Tanvi used to go, he mentioned in his majlis that there are some people that sit in my majlis that they have no idea regarding the dunya and what it contains. Nevertheless, when the people were dismissed and people started leaving the majlis and they came out, Hazrat Khaja Azizul Hasan Madzub looks at Maulana Shah Wasiullah Sahab and then says, Mauli Wasiullah, Hazrat said this about you. Now look at that. He didn't say that Hazrat said this about me. There was no question about ananiyat. There was about me and being self-conceited. There was only fana, self-effacement, self-obliteration, annihilation of oneself, complete, total and utter humility in the court of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Allah Ta'ala hum sabko ilm ke saath zikr ki tawfiq ata farma de. Together with the ilm and knowledge, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala bless us with the remembrance of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Hazrat Maulana Mohammad Ahmad Sahab used to quote this particular incident abundantly to us. The incident was that of a buzruk, that he would eat 1 roti less or this or that. And on inquiry, he would then go on to say that on eating this much more, I would be deprived of so many thousand times of the dhikr of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And what can I tell you? Maulana Muhammad Ahmad Sahab had something like this also in his mizaj and his temperament. You know, there was a very prominent person, senior person, and he came along saying that, how is it that after Hazrat Maulana Shah Wasiullah Sahab, you went to Maulana Muhammad Ahmad Sahab? What did you find there? What did you achieve? And he went on to say Hazrat Maulana Shah Wasiullah, our Hazrat Wala went on to say that I said to this person, ke maine yaksaniyat paya. I found exactly the same thing which I found with Hazrat Maulana Shah Wasiullah Sahab. I found it with Hazrat Maulana Muhammad Ahmad Sahab. Whether it was in his piety, in his zikr, in his zuhud, whatever it was, I found exactly the same thing that I found at his feet. I found on this side as well. Meaning, there was much astonishment. They could not understand that what made me make ruju to him. Now, the uncle of Hazrat Maulana Shah Wasiullah Sahab, or rather the brother, who was like our chacha or something, Hazrat Wala is saying, that he came from Pakistan. And then he said to me that, Dekho, unse dhoka mein nahi you should not be deceived regarding Hazrat Maulana Muhammad Ahmad Sahab. देखने में ऐसे, लेकिन बहुत बड़े ज़ाकिर है. Maybe in just looking at him, he may seem very unassuming. But remember, he is a great, he is one who remembers Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tremendously, abundantly. So nevertheless, looking at that particular incident of the kitabs and the imtihan, we thought that Hazrat Maulana Shah Wasiullah Sahab would be very, very happy. He told us to study for exam and we were so busy in exam. But this was his andaz, and this was his style, and this was the style of Hazrat Tanvi as well. On one occasion, some senior people came, and Hazrat Maulana Shah Wasiullah Sahab also then went together with them. Immediately Hazrat Tanvi said, and now, what is all this about? What do you want here? Go. What munasabat do you have with these people? And what was it on that side there? Who was there? It was Hazrat Maulana Abdul Bari Nadwi, Hazrat Sayyid Suleiman Nadwi. These people, when they said, yes, fine, but not you, not you. When Maulana Abdul Bari Nadwi came, he asked Hazrat Maulana Shah Wasiullah Sahab that, Maulana, I did not see you in Tana Bhawan. Were you in Tana Bhawan? Hazrat, aap Tana Bhawan mein rahe? Farmaya, wahi raha. I only stayed in Tana Bhawan. He said, but I did not see you. So then Hazrat Maulana Shah Wasiullah Sahab silently and softly would then say to us, I didn't go there. Or he would just remark that I didn't go there to go and show people that I am there, but nevertheless, I was busy and occupied so much in collecting the malfuzat of Hazrat Tanvi. I mean, that was designated for me, and I was told to do this and carry that out. And uske baad, asar ke baad, main jungle pakarta tha. I used to go out into the open and I used to go and do my own thing there. खूने दिल पीने को, लख्ते जिगर खाने को, यही ग़िज़ा मिलती है जाना तेरी दीवाने को. You would definitely have to make a sacrifice, undergo some type of difficulty, and this will be the nourishment of the soul for the ones who are so madly in love with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. You know, Hazrat Tanvi used to say, Hazrat Tanvi has written, you know, that the student, the Talib Ilm, when he starts reading Quduri and learning Quduri, these are one of the fiqh kitabs in the Dars-e-Nizami or the Alimiyat course. He says when they start with the Quduri, then automatically you see they stop reading Nafal. Meaning, now they come, but it's only Nafal. And this question arises, and that question arises so much so that they are not prepared to even read 2 rakat extra. You know, our Fufa, my uncle, now that is the maternal aunt's husband. Maternal aunt's husband, Hazrat Wala is referring to Qari Mubin Saab's father. He was an individual who was very, very paband with his awabin salat. Rather, after the Maghrib, for a full half an hour would be dedicated only for that. He was very, very paband and punctual with his tahajjud salat as well. We were very, very young at that time there. But I can remember so clearly, we would be sleeping or resting and we could hear the sound of dhikrullah, the remembrance of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Hazrat Maulana Shah Wasiullah Sahab told us that, listen, your ta'alluq is with three. One is that of the madrasa. Listen, if there's naga and you had then stayed absent, then your wages are going to be cut by the principal there. The other one is that of your wife. Now it would lead to a second problem there, because now there's a shortage of money now for that month, etc. And the other one is that with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The other one is that with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Now you have to maneuver yourself this way and that way, looking at your dunyawi this way and that way, and putting Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala first. It is only then that you will progress tremendously. Now Hazrat Maulana Shah Wasiullah Sahab, he came, and what can I tell you? So Maulana Shah Wasiullah Sahab is there, but who's there as well? Jami Sahab is there also, and Maulana Abdul Halim is also there. And at that time there, something happened, and Hazrat Maulana Shah Wasiullah Sahab scolded the whole lot of us that tum sab ghair talib hai. You are not true seekers of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. You are dismissed. Leave from here now immediately. And then people would all stand up and leave. Hey, Hazrat is upset. What happened here now? And then somebody posed the question there. I'm not actually getting it there, but some senior person then posed the question, but Hazrat, the qusur and the fault was only of one person, and you dismissed the whole lot. Hazrat Maulana Shah Wasiullah Sahab Barjasta immediately then quoted the couplets, Chu az kome yake bedanishi kard, न के राय मंजिलत मांद न मारा. जब किसी कौम का कोई आदमी बेअक्ली का कोई काम करता है, न छोटे की इज्जत रहती है न बड़े की. When a person, when from amongst a people or a group of people, one person does something unbecoming, something silly or something foolish, then the izzat of after that nobody remains. No senior person's honor remains, nor does any junior person's izzat then remain. And Hazrat Maulana Shah Wasiullah Sahab used to then, even in dalil, in proof, used to go on to quote that, look, I'll quote to you the incident where Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam entered the masjid and found some type of phlegm on the front wall or the Qibla wall or something like that. At that time there, Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam displayed and expressed his displeasure to all, whereas the crime was committed just by one. Right? So one person spat, but the rest of the people were there, and such a long time had passed, and nobody could even rectify that situation, take a stick or something or get rid of it and get it off the wall. Okay, so now let's continue. Now we read some type of ibarat from the kitab that being tired in searching for the rizq and in rozi, that a person tires himself bodily, physically and externally so much. Now that we should most definitely seek refuge in Allah against, that a person is overpowered in that sense to such an extent that it preoccupies him and takes him away from executing the commands of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Now, peace and rahat and ease when it comes to rizq is something that assists a person so much in freeing himself completely and totally in the obedience of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and standing in the service of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Now another type of tiredness is when the heart becomes tired. Now, and the soul becomes tired, and that's not the apparent and the external one. This is the internal one. Now all the more we should seek refuge in Allah against this, because when a person's soul and mind now becomes tired and his fikr is in all of that, now he's carrying such a huge burden, there can be no peace for him whatsoever other than putting his trust in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. For the one who puts his trust in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, Allah ta'ala lessens his load and Allah ta'ala then carries his load for him. وَمَن يَتَوَكَّلْ عَلَى اللَّهِ فَهُوَ حَسْبُهُ. The one who puts his trust in Allah, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala suffices him. Now, when a person's heart becomes so preoccupied with the matter of rizq, then this is a great obstacle in the path to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So much so that Shaykh Abul Hasan rahimahullah ta'ala says, أَكْثَرُ مَا حَجَبَ الْخَلْقِ عَنِ اللَّهِ تَعَالَى شَيْئًا. Majority of the time, that which becomes an obstacle between the makhluk and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, it can be categorized into two categories. One is hammur rizq, one is the worry of rizq and sustenance, and the other one is fear of the makhluk, khawful khalq. Now Hazrat Wala is saying and speaking about a person who then came and gave Hazrat Maulana Shah Wasiullah some type of gift. When this gift was presented to him, Hazrat Maulana Shah Wasiullah Saheb was told by Hazrat Tanvi that, Wasiullah, see, this gift came, but it was against my usul, so I am returning it. If Allah Ta'ala so wishes, this gift will come according to my usul. And then sometime, little while later, that gift would then come. And then he would say, Mauli Wasiullah, see, this gift came. From this also we learn how close a relationship Hazrat Maulana Shah Wasiullah Saheb enjoyed with Hazrat Hakimul Ummah, Hazrat Tanvi. Now when Maulana Azhar Shah came here and he went on to speak so much about just this part, that Hazrat Tanvi, the ma'rifat of Hazrat Tanvi, and what type of amazing articles and topics did he not teach the Ummah. So we should make dua to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that we do not get into such a type of a fikr and worry that we actually forget the entire akhirat. So one is the Maktubat Rashidiyya, another is the Maktubat Yaqubiyya. You should most definitely read these books. You know, there is one long maktubat in the Maktubat Yaqubiyya that also really deserves to be read. You know, just saying Yaqubiyya, Hazrat Wala then quotes the incident of Hazrat Maulana Yaqub Saheb, that on one occasion when he went with Hazrat Gangohi into the khidmat of Hazrat Haji Imdadullah, Hazrat Gangohi said that, Hazrat, we are going to Madina Munawwara, but Mauli Yaqub is the first time here, so we are going to leave him and go. He says, not a problem, lekin bolenge nahi. By all means, but listen, he should not speak at all. They went to Madina Munawwara, and on their return, what did they say? They said, Hazrat Haji Imdadullah said to them, what to do or what to say. Whoever came, before I could even speak, he started speaking. Meaning I only asked him for one thing and he could not even do that. He could not even do that. So nevertheless, which tariq? But the Shaykh was so kamil, Hazrat Haji Imdadullah, that despite that there, such a type of dawlat was conferred to Hazrat Maulana Yaqub Saheb, then whoever came to him then became a Sahib and Nisbat. Now, this tariq and the silsila that we are in or connected to, Allah Ta'ala keep us on this year with steadfastness. And whoever comes with this thirst, then most definitely Allah will have mercy on that particular Jamaat. Now we have gathered here. What's so far-fetched that Allah Ta'ala has or will have mercy on us, most definitely. So, silsila, this silsila, that's this which is carrying on. Allah Ta'ala maintain that and let it continue. Let me tell you people something, more than you, I benefit. Mi'yar ikar barsih shay ast, Kitabullah wa sunnat Rasul wa sirat salaf. The foundation of this path and this work of ours can be based on three: the Quran, the Hadith, and if you want to understand the Quran and the Hadith, you will have to understand it by the practical life lived by the pious predecessors. Now, Hazrat Maulana Shah Wasiullah Sahib used to quote this so abundantly in front of all the great luminaries who came. Allama who came, he said the same thing to him. Hazrat Qari Tayyib Sahib came, he said the same thing to him. And he would have so much of zor and emphasis on the portion or the part of this particular couplets which speak about Sirat-e-Salaf. You know, when Maulana Habibur Rahman Azmi came, Hazrat Maulana Shah Wasiullah Sahib sent me to him and said, go and tell Maulana that before he goes, he should prepare some that could continue with the silsila of his, referring to the great service that, or the great ulum that Hazrat Maulana Habibur Rahman Azmi had acquired an expertise in the fan and in the department of hadith and takhassus of hadith. So that's exactly what Hazrat Maulana Shah Wasiullah Sahib was actually trying to say, that leave it and let the silsila continue, otherwise after you all of this would then come to an end. Now Hazrat Maulana Shah Wasiullah Sahib was very concerned about these things, about the madrasa, about his khanqa, and about talif and tasnif, etc. He had much fikr about that. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give us sahih ilm, and Allah ta'ala give us sahih amal as well. Allah ta'ala bless us with afiyat as well. And Allah ta'ala keep me and my awlad as well, qaim and daim, established on this path. Now let us make dua. Allahumma salli ala Sayyidina Maulana Muhammad. Allahumma salli ala Sayyidina Maulana Muhammad. Allahumma salli ala Sayyidina Maulana Muhammad. اللهم ألف بين قلوبنا وأصلح ذات بيننا واهدنا سبل السلام ونجنا من الظلمات إلى النور وجنبنا الفواحش ما ظهر منها وما بطن وبارك لنا في أسماعنا وأبصارنا وقلوبنا وأزواجنا وذرياتنا وتب علينا إنك أنت التواب الرحيم ربنا لا تزغ قلوبنا بعد إذ هديتنا وهب لنا من لدنك رحمة إنك أنت الوهاب ربنا تقبل منا إنك أنت السميع العليم وتب علينا إنك أنت التواب الرحيم بحرمة سيد النبي الكريم صلى الله تعالى عليه وسلم.